Hello and welcome back. So for today, we'll be having another top cards for standard in the recent release of Magic the Gathering set, Kamigawa and Dynasty. So as you've seen in my previous video, I've did the top green cards, and then for today we'll be having black cards, as it was one of my the reason is one of my preferred colors for the game when I was starting playing competitive way back in college, I think. And since it's supposed to be the pre-release weekend for this set, but unfortunately we did have encountered logistics problems for the Philippines, and so it was moved for the next week in joining the same schedule with the release events. Anyways, we're gonna discuss again for the top cards with these criterias. You can see the three terms: versatility, variance, and usability, depending on the deck build that we're going to have for the set. So to start off, you're going to have the Mythic Dragon Spirit for black, Junji the Midnight Sky. It is a 5 to cast 5/5 with flying menace, and with it dies, you get to choose two options. Its opponent discard 2 cards and lose 2 life, or you can put a non-dragon creature card from a graveyard into the battlefield and you lose 2 life in the process. But the good thing about here is this the value it can provide already, because of its it has flying in menace, wherein you can just get through cheap blockers in the air in case that we're going to situations and scenarios like those you can encounter. And then it's given that it can animate a non-dragon creature card from a graveyard, which means you can also get to choose options in your opponent's graveyard. And in this build, I think it's gonna fit in blue-black control decks, or maybe Esper control, wherein you are packed with spot removals and mass removals, and you can just put this dude onto your board and just swing for a few damage. Then if ever you get they get to answer it, you can just get their best creature card, non-dragon creature card that you have dealt early on, into the battlefield, replacing this replacing Junji, and then you get another threat in the process. So given the value, you can basically recommend this, maybe not even in control, but maybe mid-range black or even aggro black decks can use this card. Okay, next is Nashimun Said Zion. It is a 3 to cast 3 to Ninjutsu 4, so when it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. I mean, each player, then you may play them by paying life instead of paying its mana cost. So the good thing about there is that Ninjutsu is now a good strategy for standard, and blue black is the best choice for this. And given that you can just pay 4 to return an black creature you control, and so you can just trigger this ability, then having to deal at least 1 combat damage will get you to play the top cards of each player. So the advantage here is giving an aggro. You don't really need to go beyond the paying life, since it's just part of getting board or card advantage in your aggro strategy at the cost of life. So given that the Mirror Ninjutsu deck can get a proper curve from the first turn up to the 3rd turn, and then you can just get enough mana to ninjutsu it, then probably will just get ahead opponents. And given that the blue black's nature of having tempo cards and even spot removals for opponent's creatures, then this is a good choice and addition to the build. I think for a rogue deck, maybe 2 to 3 copies will be enough to get this creature up to the curb, or in case of you have the similar scenario where you just need to hard cast, then it's just still fine. And next up is Soul Transfer. This is a 3-cast sorcery. You can choose one, but if you control an artifact enchantment, then you choose both. It's either you exile target creature or planeswalker, or return target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. But it is a slow spot removal in a sense, but given that exile effect is very efficient in dealing with indestructible creatures, and also that you get a chance to just return a creature or planeswalker from your graveyard in case that you get to draw this late game and you have no other good targets for it. And having the control enchantment and artifact is just an added bonus, as you can just basically choose one of them in your most card use of this card. So again, blue black control will have the benefit on this, and maybe if you get to build around vehicles deck, then or vehicles aggro deck, then this can be a good choice for at least 1 or 2 copies in the deck. Malicious Malfunction. This is for, of course, for controls mini sweep, and all creatures get -2/-2, and they would get to exile. Do take note that if a creature would die this turn, this sort of a lingering effect after this spell resolves, as any other spot removals that you could follow that would be able to destroy a creature, they would get to be exiled instead. So this is a good spot for black, no? As most aggro decks early on can get to curve into 1 to 3 turns. So having this to negate their board advantage is a good thing. And of course, having to chip -2/-2, mostly you get to also deal with tokens and random X1 creatures. So Tatsunari Toad Rider is a 3-cast 3/3. So having to cast an enchantment spell, you get to have Kami, which is a legendary black and green for a creature token that has this ability that you can get your opponents lose 1 life and gain 1 life whenever you cast enchantment spell. And the bonus of having this Tatsunari and a target frog you control can be blocked this turn except by creatures with flying or reach. The good thing about here is that having enchantment spell is not really an issue for black, given that Kamigawa has provided enough enchantment creatures in their lineup, and just having to build that deck is just pretty much having to know the creature curve and the number of enchantment creatures, or basically if you want to have just plainly enchantment cards in your deck, to have this guy trigger and to have this frog creature token generated. The good thing about bonus here is that it is a good 3-drop by itself. It's 3/3 for 3, and the bonus of getting him unblockable, semi-unblockable ability is also good by itself. Next is Blade of the Oni. It is a mythic artifact creature equipment demon. So it's 2-cast 3/1. By itself, it's also already good because it has menace. And the good thing later on is that you can get to reconfigure it for your best creature, or maybe just a random 1/1 in your lineup, wherein it will get that creature base power toughness 5/5. It has menace and it's black demon in addition to its other colors and type. So it may not give it flying, but at least menace is also a good addition to have one of your lesser threats become an effective attacker. So by itself, so it's 3/1, so you can just drop it for to cast early on, or unless it gets to dealt with, then just fine. But if you get to top deck this in the late game, you can just need 6 mana, having to cast this and then pay 4 to black to reconfigure it to a creature you control. Hitsugu Devouring Chaos. This is previewed in its 4 neon colors version. This is for to cast 4/4 within sacrifice ability when you get to scry 2, and also you get to pay 2 in red and top, then exile the top card library, then you get to able to play it for this turn. Then if it's a non-land card that was exiled, Hidetsugu can deal damage equal to that mana cost to any target. So it's sort of a late game pseudo draw card effect. With its at the same time, it can deal damage, which is very good in case that you need sort of a rich damage to get your opponent's life to 0. Then this is a good addition choice, given that it is also a 4/4, so you can just basically attack by itself if there's a need to do, and if there are no other creatures that you could need to sacrifice, then just leave it as a 4/4 attacker. But I think it's best to have this as a indirect finisher because of its get to exile top card library and then deal its damage equal to its mana cost to any target. Then Matched with Sorrow. This is a X black instant wherein you get to exile any number of black cards from your hand. Then it will cost two colorless mana less for each card exiled this way. Then deals X damage to the creature and you gain X life. So the cost is basically this efficient if you get to draw it. For example, in your starting hand and facing an aggro deck, you basically just exile your clunky spells for this. So if you get to exile 1, then cost 2 less, you get 2 for this, and it will deal 2 damage. Then if you exile 2 cards, then it gets 4, and so on. So having to deal with their best creature early on, and at the same time you gain X life, is a very good way to prolong the game against aggro. And of course, having instant ability, and basically just it appears to be just 1 mana on your first turn. You can basically deal with the best creatures early on. So Darkside Chief, just an uncommon with sacrifice ability and draw card. It is a good 1-drop by itself, and also for Rakdos aggro, you can have this as another option, wherein you'll just activate this ability right away, even if it has so many sickness the turn you have cast this. So basically, it's the sacrifice a creature or artifact or creature. You can get to sacrifice your blood tokens, your treasure tokens, or other maybe clue tokens, so you could draw a card. And of course, Rakdos Engine have this as their maybe 1 or 2 copies of this in their deck. And Reckoner's Bargain again. This is another version for Sack Engine for Rakdos. They might also have this in their list as maybe 2 to 3 copies. The advantage here is not only drawing 2 cards, but also gaining life equal to its sacrifice permanence mana value. So if ever you get to have a big creature to sacrifice, or in any chances you get to take control of an opponent's creature, then this is a good follow-up to deal with their creature, and at the same time you gain life equal to its permanent mana value. And Biting Palm Ninja, this is 3/3 Nidutsu with a menace counter. What's interesting about this is that you can sort of a coercion effect when you get to deal combat damage to a player by just removing 1 menace counter on it. So when it deals damage, reveal the player's hand and you choose another card for it and you get to excel it. But being a good thing of the ninjutsu ability is that you can get to return this card for another ninjutsu effect again in the late game by bouncing it, and then so you can just cycle it again by bouncing it again from on the next attack, and it will get another menace counter on it as it enters the battlefield. So basically you can just cycle two ninjutsu cards, being one of them is a Biting Palm Ninja, to do a continuous coercion effect. So I think this is sort of auto inclusion for the mirror rogues, the mirror ninjas deck, and of course for ops maybe the best way for it to be efficient. On at least turn 3 you get to ninjutsu it already. And last but not the least, I think this is the last for my slide. This is Takinuma Abandoned Mine. This is Black's channel land. It is it has this effect where you just mill 3 and then you return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. This costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. But the good thing here is that having 3 to copies in the deck is just enough for drawing this late game for a channel cost. So you just basically build 3 and then return your best creature or planeswalker that was maybe discarded or dealt with early on, that was placed in your graveyard. So that's a wrap for these black cards. I hope you get to build the proper deck. Maybe if you're looking to black to be your next deck colors for standard, then maybe I would suggest that you check those cards that can be included in your deck build. So again, maybe I'll have another top cards again for other colors, maybe red or blue, and we'll just stay tuned for it on my channel for another upload on that. So thank you for watching, and until the next time.